Hello everyone. So in this video we're going over two main things. So the first, we will quickly review what we did on test-driven development in our lab sessions, and then we'll go on to see how we can integrate that or use that to construct a CI pipeline, a CI/CD pipeline, okay, for our project. Okay, so what I have here, as you can see, is what we did in class. So first we wrote some tests. All right, test multiplication or multiply if you like, and we went on to work on the implementations in the calculator module, right, where we have add, multiply. So I left this one for you to try your hands on when you get this or at a convenient time. Okay, so if we want to run our tests, we can quickly do Python, and don't forget that in this case we are using unit test. So if you are using PyTest, you will use a slightly different command. So in this case we do Python unit test, and our tests are running, all of them are passing. Okay, we run 2 tests and everything is okay. Good. So we are good to set up our GitHub account repo now. So I'll create a new repo. Let's call that CSIT TDD CI/CD sample. Okay, something like this. I'll go ahead and create this repo, and we have all these things for us to set up and push our code to GitHub. So first of all, I'll go back to our projects and initialize this project folder as a git folder. Okay, so git init. All right, and so now when I do git status, we have these files ready, okay, ready to be pushed to GitHub. But if you look closely, this is specific to the IDE I am using, PyCharm. So I don't want this to be added to the files we push to GitHub. Okay, so I have to create a git ignore file and then put indicate that that particular folder and all that are in there should be ignored. So I'll do just that. Taking a bit of time, and create this file. So I would say okay, .idea folder should be ignored. Okay, so now when I come back and I do git status, we have get the .idea file gone, and we have a new one, git ignore, added, right? So since we want to also set up our CI pipeline or CI server, what we want anytime we make a change on the repository is that the CI server should set up the same environment, including the packages that we've installed, everything, and run the test. Okay, so we want the same thing just as we have on our local machine there in the cloud, so that the tests that are run, we are certain that there wouldn't be any dependency issues and all of that. So if you have a larger project, in that case we have something really simple. If you have a larger project, you have to ensure that all the libraries that you've installed using pip or something like that are available. So a way to do that, since we are using Python virtual environment, okay, VM, is to create a requirement.txt file and have pip put in all the dependency, the name of the packages you've used and their versions in there, right? So we don't have any package though in this project, but just so we don't break anything, right, just make sure, because Circle CI will be expecting that file. So we will do pip freeze requirements.txt, and this new file should be added to our project folder with empty content. Okay, there's nothing in here. All right, so I'll go ahead and close it. So now when I do get status, we see that the requirement folder, requirement file, requirements.txt has been added. So now I'll go ahead and commit this and make and let's say CI/CD projects in it, something like that. All right, now I'm ready to push it to GitHub. So I'll go back to GitHub and copy this command, right, to set up our remote. Okay, I'll paste it in here. Surely that should come right now. Okay, so we add it and then we push it. Oh, sorry, I need to push set up this remote. Okay, good. Now we've pushed our code to GitHub. So when I go to the project's homepage, you see all our stuff in here. Okay, so with this we are now ready to set up our CI server. Okay, so and construct the CI pipeline. So I'll go to Circle CI. Just a reminder, we're using Circle CI for this. So I open Circle, I go to Circle CI and then login. So I'm going to log in with my GitHub account. I'll choose my account, and because I gave it the permission via OAuth, it will go and pull, or it will list all the repositories I have in my account. And in this case, this is the project that we want to set up the CI server for, right? So I'll click set up project. So the way Circle CI works is it needs the commands, or your how you want things to run. It needs everything specified in the YAML file, okay, config.yaml file in this folder, .circleci folder. Okay, so there are three ways you can do that. You can use the fastest approach, which will set up this branch and put in this repo over there, put in the config.yaml, a default one there for you. Or in this case, I'm going to select this one because we have a command for running our test. I want to manually put that in the config.yaml file. Okay, so I'm choosing this one, so it gives me a lot more control on that. So I'll set up the project. It's a Python project, and we have this sample file given to us. Okay, you don't have to be overwhelmed. Okay, what we have here is the version and then the language you're using. Okay, and from line 17 we have one critical thing you need to pay attention to: the jobs. So in this case, the first job here is called build and test. That is the name, or if you like, an ID of this job, and it entails setting up a Docker image, which Circle CI will do, and some steps in the pipeline. So it includes checking out this project and using pip to install all the packages we have in requirement.txt if sorry about that, if we have any. Okay, all right. So after that, you can have a series of commands to run. Okay, so you can use, here we only have one run command, but you can have multiple of them depending on what you want to do. So in this case, we want to run our test, but we are not using PyTest. So by default, Circle CI is assuming that we're using PyTest. So we are not using PyTest. In this case, we're using unit test. So if I switch over to our project quickly and go to our test module, you will see that here we are using unit test. We are not using PyTest. So if you are using PyTest, it means that you have to, when you run pip freeze, PyTest will be listed in requirement.txt, and you will have to I think you can keep the default over here. Okay, So we're just going, since we're using unit test, we need to put in the command that we give to it to run the unit test. And then from line 43, that is where all the jobs that we want to evoke are spelled out. Okay, so that is the workflows. So the first job we want to run is build and test, and that is the name of this job. Where is that? Yeah, line 17. Okay, where we specify a test. Okay, and all that. So I think for our case, we have a simple task, just one run command and one job to run. That's fine. So go ahead and commit and run this code. So Circle CI will save this config file and under a new branch on our repository. Okay, so you see it's running it, and it will set up, spin up the environment. After the environment, it will set up the dependencies, and after the dependencies, it will go on to set up the cache, and after caching, it will run the test. Okay, so this series of steps would be performed anytime you make a change to the repository, okay, your code base, because of and all these things are being handled by the CI server you just set up. Okay, so this is it. It ran the command that we gave to it, and everything is passing. Okay, good. So if we switch over to our project, as you can see, a new branch has been created. Okay, and there are some few things that are there that are not on the master branch. So it is GitHub is telling us, it's asking us, hey, do you want to merge that, bring it into your master branch? Okay, we can do that, but just before we do that, let's look at that branch. So you see, Circle CI has created this branch, Circle project setup, and in Circle project setup, you see the folder .circleci, right? If we switch over to that branch, and this is the config file and the content. This is the command on line 39. This is what we put in, right? Good. So we can go back to our projects and bring that in from the branch that Circle CI created to the master branch. Okay, so assuming yeah, that's fine. Okay, keep it simple. Create a pull request, a PR, and anytime you create a PR, what will happen is that the unit test Circle CI will run the tests that you set up. So that is why you see this over here. Anytime you create a PR, okay, GitHub will ensure that the CI server runs all your unit tests, and if everything is okay, all the test passes, then everything will be green and it means you're good to go. Okay, so we can go ahead and merge this for now and play around with it. See, so now if you go to our master branch, you see the Circle CI folder on the master branch. So one more thing we can do, one very interesting cool thing with Circle CI, is we can display a badge here on our homepage on GitHub for us to more or less always get an idea that okay, our tests are running, all our tests are passing. Okay, so in case there is any failure, we will quickly know. Okay, in case maybe something happens on a production server and there is a failure, we can easily know, get to know that without having to log in and all of that, just by visiting the repo page. Okay, so we go back to Circle CI, our projects page, and let's click, go to the projects, we set up, and then we choose project settings. So project settings, we go to status badges, and so this is what we want to do. When all our tests are passing, we want to show passed this badge on our project on GitHub. If any of them fails, we want to show this, the failed, right? And we are saying we want to show one of these badges on the master branch. If you have other branches, you can select that, right? So what we want to do is copy this markdown test and go and put it in the readme.md file. Okay, so go ahead and copy this, come back to our project folder, create or add a readme file. Okay, and paste in all that we copied. Okay, good. So maybe commit this file. So created a readme file. Let me keep it simple. Reduce our characters. Create a readme.md and commit. Good. So as you can see, now we have this badge here on the homepage of the project, always telling us the test status of this project. So all the tests are passing, everything is fine. Okay, so let's say you assign a task to one of your team members as a team lead, right? And the person is to change something. The person ends up causing one of the tests to fail. Okay, let's see what happens. So back to the project locally, I will first fetch everything so that we have all the changes that we've done on GitHub locally as well. As you can see now, the CI branch is now visible locally. I can check it out. And also if I do git pull, if I do git pull, now we have all the changes that we've done present locally as well. Okay, so there is a circle CI folder, and then our config.yaml file is also in here, right? Good. All right, so let's go to our test module first. But first I want to create a branch. So in this case, your team member that you've assigned a task to will create a branch. So git checkout e, let's say test ci cd what name should I give to it? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Maybe you can find a better name depending on the task that you've been assigned, right? Good. So let's say your colleague changed something over here. So in this case, we are saying that 2 times 5 should be equal to 4, which is false, not possible, right? But let's keep it for now to test and see how things will what will happen when we try to push this code. Okay, and this test is failing. But even before we do that, we can just run this test locally to see. So Python, yeah. And as you can tell, this one of the tests is failing. Okay, the multiplication part is failing. Okay, so let's see. So let's say, yeah, now we've made change to this one. So I'm going to commit this to update modified multiply asset states. Let me keep it short. Git push origin test CICD. Okay, so now if I try to create a pull request, okay, from this branch that we just created to the master branch, to target the master branch. Okay, so maybe at the reviewer side I can assign my team leader to review the changes, the code that I've worked on for me. Okay, so if I create this pull request, now GitHub will evoke GitHub Circle CI will run the unit tests, all the unit tests we have, and one of them is failing, right? So as you can see, one failing check. So if we want to find out the details, what is failing, we can click on details. It will take you to this page, page of the build, and then you will see it over here. Okay, so this is the same thing we saw when we try running this command locally. On line 2, you see line 10, that is what we find when we run a project locally, the command locally, right? So for example, if we go to a project, you see that there something is failing. Okay, we have a fail in the recent commit that we made. So you can see that the hash of the commit 5FFEFF8. This commit is failing. Okay, so FF8, right? Those are the last three stuff. So if we go to PRs and we check this commit, as you can see, you see FF8, this is the commit that is failing. So that way you'll be able to know that, okay, this team member worked on this commit. So you can draw the attention of the team member that, hey, the changes you made is causing something to break. All right, so please quickly take a look at it, right? And then your team member will go back to the drawing board and check out using the stack trace on Circle CI and find out that, okay, this test is the one that is failing. Oh, we made a mistake. How can 10 be equal to 4? So we change this back. Okay, and before we even go any further, let me quickly go back to the home page of the project on GitHub, and you will see something. Okay, let's merge it first and see how the badge updates. So yes, we have errors, but we are going to merge it into the master branch anyway. So we've merged it and we give it some time for Circle CI to operate in the background, and the status, this pass status, we expect it to change because one of the tests is failing. Good. So as you can see, this is very informative. You don't even need to go to Circle CI before you find out. And most of the time, if I think I remember correctly, Circle CI will also send you a mail that something is failing. Okay, one build is failing. This. Okay. So now we go back to your colleague that produced that error, that issue, and the person addresses it. Okay, so now if we run Python unit test, everything now is now passing, right? So we can go ahead and commit the correction. Okay, so let's say bug fix, corrected issue in multiplication test. Okay, and then we can push this. Okay, so when we come back here on our project, we can create a pull request, a new pull request to address this issue. So we go to pull request, we create new pull request. We want to move code from test-CI/CD into master. Okay, so this is the change we've made. All right, so if I go ahead and create a pull request, once again Circle CI will run all the tests. So you see now everything is passing. Okay, everything is fine. So I can merge this into the master branch and we give it some time, and we expect the badge, this badge, to update. Okay, so we can keep refreshing. Good. So you see now all the tests are passing. So this way you will be able to effectively manage your projects. So with continuous integration, you are able to now collaborate with your team members effectively and efficiently. You don't have to run into merge conflicts a lot if you organize your workflow quite well, and you can set up your CI server so that you have your code, you make sure that all the unit tests you have, anytime someone wants to make a change, all of them are run, the unit tests are run to ensure that you're confident that the change that is coming in is not breaking anything in the existing code base is quite high. Okay, so one more thing that you can do is set up automatic deployment. Okay, so with setups services like Heroku, you can actually do that, right? And immediately your test pass and you merge your code into master, then Heroku, if you have configured it properly, it will just take compile your master branch and deploy your application. Okay, so that seamlessly you move from development to integration and to deployment, right? And then of course you can use services like New Relic and others to gather metrics once your system is live and people are interacting with it, and to monitor things like response times and all of that, right? And you can gather them again and use that to inform how you revise your code. So with this, you then end up having a fully fledged DevOps setup or workflow. Okay, so yeah, you see, everything is at your fingertips, and I hope you find this useful. I'm going to, like I said, put a link to how you can set up a CI server using GitHub Actions here as well, which is also pretty easy. I'm going to share a link to that video also in the description of this video. Okay, have a nice time working on your projects. Thank you very much. Bye bye.